or just an American dad. A soft noise broke the silence, a faint scraping sound, barely audible. His head snapped toward the door. A steady, rhythmic scraping, metal against stone. He pushed himself up, moving silently toward the window. He peered through a gap in the boards, his eyes narrowing against the morning light. A man was sitting by the shed. Daylight didn't make him any less threatening. The stranger's face was clear, sunken cheeks, a scruffy beard, eyes that darted around the yard like he was expecting trouble. His hands worked the blade with a practiced efficiency, sliding it across the whetstone. The machete or sword, maybe, looked sharp enough to split bone. With caution, he ducked out of sight, pressing his back to the wall. Why is he here? He slinked through the house, sticking to the shadows as he checked other windows. The man hadn't come closer, hadn't made a move toward the house. But he wasn't leaving either. He wouldn't trust me, he thought. In this world, trust was a luxury that got people killed. From another window, he studied the man again. The blade caught the sunlight, flashing briefly as the stranger held it up to inspect his work. His coat was worn, patched in places, the fabric stiff with grime. A pack leaned against the shed next to him. He's been out there a while. Is he waiting on me? This thought made his stomach clenched. Or is he scared to come inside? He moved back to the bathroom, packing his things with quick, precise movements. His knife was already on his belt. The gun went into its holster, the weight reassuring even with its dwindling ammo. The journal went into his pack, nestled between supplies he couldn't afford to lose. He glanced at the mirror again. In the daylight, he looked worse, shadows under his eyes, stubble creeping along his jaw. The scraping had stopped. He froze, listening. Footsteps, soft but deliberate, crunched outside the house. The stranger wasn't sharpening anymore. He was moving. He edged toward the front door, staying low. His hand hovered over the bolt as he peered through a crack. The stranger was standing now, the machete hanging loosely in his hand. He wasn't walking toward the house, just pacing, scanning the perimeter like he was deciding his next move. He doesn't know I'm inside, the thought arose. Good. His grip on the knife tightened. He couldn't wait this out forever. If the man got bold or desperate, there'd be no time to prepare. It was better to face him now on his terms. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. His pulse hammered in his ears, but his hands were steady as he unlocked the door. This is still survival. One way in, one way out. He stepped outside. The man didn't flinch as he watched him step out of the house. He stood by the shed, one hand resting on the machete, the other hanging loosely at his side. His eyes, sharp and calculating, locking into eye contact, but he didn't move. Didn't think anyone was here, the stranger said after a tense moment. His voice was gravelly, like someone who hadn't spoken much in a while. You're on private property, he said to the stranger. The man smirked, the corner of his mouth twitching upward. Yeah, I know. Mine. That gave him pause. He studied the man's face, searching for signs of deceit. The stranger seemed relaxed, almost casual, but his hand stayed near the machete. This place belonged to a family, he said in protest, his voice low. The stranger smirked, my name's Stan, and I rented it to them. The man nodded toward the house. Years ago. A good deal for both of us until the world went to shit. This answer didn't get a response, but his grip on the knife loosened just slightly. They're gone now, aren't they? The stranger asked. His tone was flat, more statement than question. Still no answer, but the silence was enough. The stranger sighed, stepping back from the shed and pointing toward the surrounding yard. Your first clue should have been the wildlife or the lack of it. Haven't seen a bird, squirrel, or even a bug, have you? It was true. The silence around the property had been unnerving since the moment he arrived. "It's the signal," Stan continued, slinging the machete over his shoulder. "The guy who lived here worked for Dark Industries. You've heard of them?" The name struck a chord. Dark Industries, research, tech, the rumors of projects that pushed ethical boundaries even before the collapse. "He wired the property to keep it safe," the man explained. "Tied it to a satellite network. Emits a frequency that repels natural life. Animals, insects, you name it. They won't come near the place." Narrowing his eyes, he questioned, "And how do you know that?" The man shrugged. "I installed it for him. Part of the deal when I rented this place out. He wanted a safe house for his family. I wanted a way to keep tabs on what he was working on. Win-win, back then." He gestured for our hero to follow. Warily, he did, keeping a careful distance between them. The man led him toward the edge of the property, stopping at a jagged line where the grass changed abruptly. On one side, the yard was lush and green, almost unnaturally so. On the other, the grass was sparse, the ground cracked and dry. "Here's your boundary," the man said, gesturing with the machete. "Step outside, and you're in the real world. Step inside, and you're safe from anything with a heartbeat." He crouched, running his fingers over the grass. The difference was stark, like two different worlds pressed together. "There's a catch," Stan added, his voice quieter now. "Overexposure to the signal messes with your head. Hallucinations. Paranoia. Saw it happen to the guy who lived here. Guess he thought keeping the wild out was worth losing a bit of himself." He thought of the journal, the fraying entries near the end, the frantic handwriting. "How long do I have?" he asked. The man tilted his head, considering him. "Depends. You feel like you're dreaming yet?" The question hung in the air, the weight of it settling in his chest. The stranger motioned for him to follow, setting off toward the tree line. His movements were unhurried, but there was a quiet confidence in the way he walked, like he had nothing to fear within these boundaries. "You've seen the property line," Stan said over his shoulder. "Now let me show you the rest." Following cautiously, keeping a hand near his knife. This stranger didn't seem like the type to let his guard down entirely, and neither was he.